If you have a desire to become a better version of your current self, then this podcast is for you. I share with you helpful thoughts, tips, and stories about fitness and self-improvement which you can apply to your life today. So for those of you that want to take control of your life, to learn, to grow, to become that which you desire most, I am your host, Connor Malone, and this is the pursuit of constant improvement. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you my 12 most impactful lessons that I've learned about self-improvement over the past 4, 5, 6 years in my own pursuit of constant improvement. And I'm incredibly excited for this episode because if you followed me throughout my 4x4x48 challenge, the David Goggins challenge, you'll have seen on my Instagram that I shared these 12 lessons. However, today I'm going to go into them in more detail, provide specific action points for you. And yeah, if you like quotes, you'll love this episode. There is an abundance of quotes to back up what I'm saying, first-hand experiences from myself. And yeah, this is one of my favourite episodes that I've been looking forward to doing. So I hope this is packed with value for you. And yeah, we'll get straight into this because we don't like messing around and wasting time around here. We like action. So with lesson number 1 is one of my favourite quotes. In fact, my very favourite quote, and it is, "Diligence is the mother of good luck." And it was said by Benjamin Franklin. And essentially, as I said, it's one of my favourite quotes. And the reason it's one of my favourite quotes is because it is the pursuit of constant improvement. It explains very well what you need in a pursuit of constant improvement. Because we look at people sometimes and we say, oh, well, this person got luck here. And the only way to get luck is by being consistent. But the best thing about this quote is it doesn't just say be consistent. It says diligence is the mother of good luck. Now you think of a mother, it gives birth to something. Diligence, in the sense, gives birth to good luck. So without diligence, we can't get good luck. Now, diligence is careful and persistent work or effort. It is not consistent work or effort. So remember that. It's careful and persistent work or effort. Now, the reason I highlight that is because a lot of people, they hack away, whether that's their own pursuit in life and their job, whatever. But if you're not careful and persistent with your work, you will not improve. It needs to be careful work. It needs to be the right type of work that you're consistent with. And that is what diligence is. Diligence is when you look into a bit more and you're doing things with purpose. You're really trying to push forward. And I truly believe that diligence is the mother of good luck. That if you do want luck, you have to be diligent to come by luck. So that's one of the big lessons that I learned, because the only time I've ever seen luck is when I've been diligent, and I look back and I think, wow, I have been careful and persistent with my work or effort, and here we have good luck. So this is a great one. Now, lesson 2 is another good one that a lot of people struggle with, and it is create, don't wait to receive. And what I mean by that is, if you've achieved little in your life and you feel like you're not in the position that you want to be, it is most likely because of your lack of action. In the sense of, a lot of people expect things to come to them. They expect to be handed situations in different environments, things that are going to help push them forward. They want chances, opportunities. That's what people want handed to them. But as you should know by now, if you've been in life long enough, you don't get them very often. And we need to create them. Because when we sit around and wait to receive things in life, you go nowhere. People always talk about purpose, about, oh, well, how do I know where I want to go, whatever. You have to create these things. You have to put in the work and take action to receive all these things. Like I said with the last one, good luck. If you want it, you need to take action. You need to create that. So if you're not taking action, you're not going to be able to push forward with anything. So that's why we cannot wait to receive. We have to create. It's like one of the things that people say, there's a guy called, Jocko Willink. And what he says is he's big on extreme ownership. And essentially that is taking, as it says, extreme ownership of things that you do. So you take responsibility in life. And that is what happens when you start to create. You don't wait for people to give you things. You start to take extreme ownership of your own decisions and own actions. And that is an empowering thing indeed. When you decide in life that you're going to create your own future, your own self, and push forward that, and not just go through life and hope that things get handed to you. That is a powerful thing indeed. That's where freedom comes from. Because you don't rely on others. One of the worst things we can do in life is rely. It doesn't matter how much you trust or love somebody. You can't always rely on them. You have to. The only person you can truly rely on is yourself, because you're the only person who can control how you respond to things. Because one of the lessons that we'll go over is about control and what we call the dichotomy of control. There's a lot of things out there for control in life, but you can create your own things. You have control over how you respond to things, your own actions. So it's very important that we focus on creating and not waiting to receive. Because when I went through a certain stage of, like, when I started my own pursuit of constant improvement and looked at other people and I was thinking, oh, well, they have this, they have that. Tough shit. I ain't going to get it. So I could either wait there and hope that I get given something, or I could go out there and start creating the life that I wanted, the person I wanted to be. Okay, I want to be confident. How am I going to do that? How am I going to work towards that? What type of stuff am I going to read? What type of stuff am I going to implement? I want to be more muscular. Great. Nobody's going to give me a muscular physique. You need to go and create that. You need to go and put in the effort. So those are some experiences that I've had with that. Now on to the next one. We have lesson 3 of earn your rest. And Immanuel Kant said it best with, one of the best and purest joys is rest after labour. Think of this for me. If you've ever sat down, you're on holiday, maybe you're not on holiday, maybe you're just sitting down after a difficult week, you've worked really hard, maybe you've got a nice cold beer in front of you, whatever it happens to be, a nice bit of food. You sit there and you think, wow, that was worth it. I put in the work. Whereas when we compare it to at the end of the week, you just crack open a beer, you sit there and you're lazy. That doesn't give you any form of contentment, of fulfillment. It might give you a short-term burst of happiness, of course it will, but it's not going to give you a long fulfillment. It's not going to give you more than that. It's going to be very short-term. Now, if we want things to be the purest of joys in life, we need to earn our rest. Because there is few things sweeter in life than when you sit down with that ice-cold beer after you've done some relentless work. You've worked maybe could just be for days, it could be for weeks, it could be for months, and you sit there and you reflect and you think, I deserve this. That is an empowering thing indeed, and it's something that I apply every single week in my life. In fact, if I plan to go out for a drink, which happens to be maybe once a month, if I'm going out for a drink, I will say to myself, you better earn this. Because I want to be sitting there, whether I'm with friends or whoever, I want to be sitting there thinking, I earned this. And believe me, it feels so much better when you start to earn things. Because what it is unearned rest makes us soft. It makes your mind soft. It makes your expectations soft to what you expect. You think, oh, I can rest anytime I like. Well, that's when you get caught up in your own head and you start doubting yourself and thinking, oh, I'm just lazy. Because you are. That is the truth. You are lazy. When you don't earn your rest and you're resting all the time more than you really need to, you are lazy. That is essentially laziness. So by earning your rest, you empower yourself to do more and to rest well. Because as I said, you've earned it from there. So again, just think about that. How much better do you feel during that time when you rest, when you truly earn it? Now on to the next lesson, and it is exercise is the ultimate gift. And this can again be said by no one better than Socrates. He says, no man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. And that is a quote that I had on my wall, on my board. I had it there I used to rub out these quotes every month. I had 3 of them, but I kept that one for months. And that's why I've memorized most of it, because it's such a profound quote. It's so important in the sense of, if you go through life and you don't exercise regularly, you don't utilize your body, you don't know the beauty, the literal beauty and strength of which it is capable of. You can build a physique, you can change the way you want to look through physical exercise. You have an incredible gift being able to exercise, being able to move. You can play sports, you can experience flow states through exercise. So many good things come off exercise. It allows you to just go and get the endorphins and dopamine and stuff, that good response you get from working hard and exercising. It truly is the ultimate gift in life. We can change our circumstances, our position, how we look, how we feel through exercise, both in the short term and in the long term. So if you're someone that doesn't exercise regularly, you really are missing out one of the biggest gifts of life. And I hope that would help motivate you to at least start with some things. It doesn't need to be much. It could be walking to begin with. And you start, that's what the pursuit of constant improvement is all about. We start small and we start to improve. It's a constant pursuit of improvement from there. Now, to me, as I said, nothing's better than that, because what gives us more life? We live better, longer, we live well. What things can you think of that increase your longevity more than exercise? None. There's a reason for that, because there isn't any. So it's so, so important that we improve, that we use it in our life, we utilize it on a regular basis if you want to live with more life, that longer and happier life in general. Now, the next one is a one that I've learned, particularly throughout that 4x4x48 challenge. It reinforced it in my mind, and that is fulfill the small promises you make to yourself and to others, but those small promises you need to fulfill. Everybody knows if you make a big promise, you're supposed to fulfill, you're supposed to follow through on your word. But it's the small promises that get away from people. Like, oh, I'll go to the gym tomorrow. Oh, I'll do this. I'll go and get my shopping earlier. Oh, I'll do this for so-and-so. Oh, you want this done? Oh, I'll get it done for you tomorrow. When you don't start doing those things, you start to lack confidence in yourself, because you become the type of person who says they're going to do something and you do not follow through. Now, that is not a person to respect. You cannot respect somebody who says they're going to do something and doesn't do it, because they're either a liar or they're lazy. That's the truth of it. Now, if you are that person, you say to others, oh, I'll do this for you, or oh, I'm going to do this, and you never do it, there's no easy way to put it. You need to change that. You cannot be trusted if you're that person. I would never confide in a person that cannot keep a promise to themselves, never mind to me. So if you want to improve your confidence, that is the very first way to do it. Start saying you're going to do things and do it. Don't make loose promises. Don't say, do you know what? Do you want to do this tomorrow? Do you want to do it? Commit to things. If you say you're going to do it, see if you're not going to go to the gym, it's fine. Don't say it to yourself. But if you are, you commit to that. When I said about the 4x4x48 challenge, I did think about it for a while. I didn't impulsively think, oh, this challenge looks great. It would be brilliant. Let me do it. I'm going to do it. I thought about it. I weighed it up. I was like, right, is that my top priority at the moment? Maybe I could wait a couple of months, which I did. I trained a little bit for it, doing 4-mile runs. And then I committed to it. I made that promise to myself. You are going to follow through with this. You're going to attempt it, and you're going to complete this. And I've done exactly that. And if you can't hear it in my voice, I feel confident after that. I promise you that. Now, with that, one of the great things in life is what we can do for others. When people trust you, when people rely on you, it is actually a good feeling. But as I said before, nobody can truly rely on you if you cannot fulfill these promises. So, of course, we fulfill these promises to ourselves, but start fulfilling them to others. You become a higher status individual, become a more trustworthy individual as a whole from that. Now, moving on to the next point, actually comes off of a quote. It is called The 2 Pains of Life. And the quote is by Jim Rohn. And what he said was, everyone must choose one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And it is so true. Your alarm goes off at 6 a.m. in the morning. What do? You choose the discipline to get up. It's uncomfortable, but do you choose that discipline to get up and get after your day and make your dreams become a reality and start to put in that work, that action? Or do you snooze it and stay in bed and think, oh, I'll go to the gym tomorrow? Guess what? You're going to regret that. You had a choice there. Discipline is always the harder choice in the short term, always. But in the long term, regret always outweighs it. Imagine lying on your deathbed and thinking, fuck, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. In fact, look at yourself right now. What do you regret? Because regret weighs heavy. It's very, very difficult to rid the mind of regret. And I'm saying that not to scare you. I'm saying that for you to carry with you as a reminder to be disciplined in those moments. Choose discipline over regret. That is a huge chunk of my pursuit of constant improvement revolves around, is thinking, right, would I regret this if I didn't do it? Would my ideal self do this? If the answer is yes, then follow through with it. Commit to it and do it. And that's what we get from that. In fact, I use it as fuel to push me through. That thought of regret, it does worry me a wee bit. I'm not going to lie. It does. It scares me, in fact. I said it wasn't to scare you, but point blank, it does. It is quite a terrifying thought. Imagine sitting there on your deathbed with regret. You've got no time to get rid of that. So you're going to die with regret. That scares the living shit out of me. And it should for you as well. So keep that in mind and let it push you through difficult decisions. Let it help you choose discipline over that pain of regret. The next one, point and simple, is a quote. Again, one of my favourite quotes. One of the first I heard when I started my own self-improvement journey. And it really helped me so much. It helps a lot A lot of young guys, right, if you're struggling, particularly with anxiety, and it comes off of being worried because of other people, this quote really comes down to it. And the rule is, comparison is the thief of joy. Imagine comparison as that thief. Anytime you start to compare yourself, you might be feeling happy, and then you compare yourself to others, boom, steals away your joy. Let's say tomorrow you went out, let's say you're not doing much at the moment, you went out, you done a workout, you went a 4-mile run, or you went a mile run, you thought, oh, that's great, that's brilliant. You go on Instagram and then you see me going out and running 48 miles in 48 hours and you go, oh, what's the point? That's the wrong attitude to have. You should not compare in that circumstance, because I'm probably further along my journey than you. In fact, I could compare myself to anybody. In fact, let me tell you this. There's a guy called Fergus Crawley. The guy's a machine, an absolute machine. He done the 4x4x48 challenge twice in a row. He doubled that. So I could have finished that challenge and thought, oh, brilliant, I'm so proud of myself. Oh, wait, but he's done it twice. What am I? But I don't do that. I respect everything that he's achieved, but I do not compare myself to him. Why would I? It's a silly thing to do. So you need to train yourself to rid yourself of comparison. And one of the ways I've done that is by getting so obsessed in my own pursuit that I don't have time to compare myself to people above me. I genuinely don't have time. I have too many things to focus on. I'm so involved in my pursuit of bettering myself every day that I don't have to have time for comparison. There will always be somebody doing better than me and you. I don't care. This is about me. This is my own pursuit of constant improvement. You could call that self-obsessed. And if that's self-obsession, I'm completely and utterly self-obsessed, because I do not have time to think of how well others are doing. I'm focused on me and my own improvement, because I know for a fact it's not only going to help me, but it's going to help others around me. So that is the complete opposite of selfishness, if you ask me. Now, another thing that Marcus Aurelius said, and I love this quote, I read it very often when I read the meditations, and he says, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. If you realize that, like for me, I can't control that Fergus Crawley's a machine and that he runs more than me, or that so-and-so's fitter than me, or that so-and-so's in a better position than me, doing better business than me. I can't control that. That's out of my control. What I can control is how I respond to situations I'm put in, what actions I take, where I end up in life. There is no use in me comparing myself to others. The only time I ever use comparison is for gratitude, in the sense of looking at how well people have done, or at looking and saying, wow, I could be in that position, a lower position, but I'm not. That's the only time I use it. For example, I'm so unbelievably lucky for having running water. There's people in the world that don't have that. That is comparison, yes. But I use it in a healthy form for myself, for my own mind, in that sense. So I hope that you continue to change your perspective of comparison. You don't use it and you don't let it be that thief of joy. The next one is the 4x4x48 challenge in a nutshell, and that is get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you think of every single success in your life, everyone, let's say you got a job, let's say you think of somebody having a baby, right? Somebody has a baby, somebody gets a job, somebody does something, you finish a workout, you build a physique, any of these things. Before it, you were uncomfortable. Pregnancy is a very uncomfortable thing. But from what I've heard, there's not many greater joys in life than having a child. There's a lot of discomfort, but what comes after that is remarkable. When you build a physique, all those gym sessions, all those times of doubt, those pay off. So if you get comfortable, get used to being uncomfortable in a regular kind of situation, if you're always uncomfortable, pushing yourself, you will grow and improve. Whereas if you stay scared of being uncomfortable, you're like, oh, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Well, guess what? You'll turn soft. You will stay where you are right now. It's a non-negotiable. You cannot avoid it. So again, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Nothing good comes from being comfortable. Apart from being in a spa, that's quite comfortable. Next one, gratitude is a superpower. I've mentioned before how impactful gratitude has been. One of the biggest things in my life for my attitude, my perspective, has been gratitude. It truly is a superpower. It makes us more of an optimist, more positive in general. You can quite clearly see somebody who does practice gratitude to somebody who doesn't, an optimist to a pessimist. Because all they think of is the negative, this pessimist, whereas an optimist would say, oh, well, at least we have this, or you could, oh, well, this was good, or whatever, situations like that. Now, one of the ways that I love to practice gratitude, and again, it comes from a quote from Marcus Aurelius, which I'll read to you now, is treat what you don't have as non-existent. Look at what you have, the things you value most, and think of how much you would crave them if you didn't have them. That is gratitude to me. Think of the things you use every single day. Your iPhone, wherever you're listening to this, is it on your laptop, your phone, you listen to it through your car. Look at that thing that you have. Is it a car? Is it a phone? Whatever it happens to be. Imagine life without it. Be so grateful that you have it. Imagine, like, I woke up today, I can move. I'm healthy. I feel great. I've had conversations with people today that I value. Imagine I didn't have those people. Imagine I didn't have this body. Imagine I wasn't able to move or speak or listen or hear. These things that I value most, and you don't realize these things until you practice gratitude, and it truly is a superpower. That is how you practice gratitude the most. The things that you truly need, which we often just think, oh, well, everybody has them. No, they don't. They truly don't, and they can be taken away from you at any point in your life. So look at it as that. The things you value most. What would you do if they to go tomorrow? Then the next one is reading as a cheat code to wisdom. This is another thing I value very highly in the sense of wisdom, being able to make good decisions, the art of being wise in general, having knowledge that you can apply. And the best way to do that is through reading. Because I'm going to fire another quote at you. You know I am, from Socrates. He said, employ your time in reading other men's writings so that you gain easily what others laboured hard for. Because what happens is there's people, all the smartest people that have ever lived, they put so much time and effort into their lives and they've wrote about it. So you have the gold that has been mined by men through their own minds in front of you on Amazon. You can buy it for £15, get it in your house the next day. You can sit and dive into that and take what you want from it. But people don't do it. Everything you could ever want. We live in a generation now where we have an abundance of information, but we have a lack of application of it. People don't apply things. They know it's out there, so they don't even bother. But by using books, by reading, you can take things from this and you can apply it. Because some people say to me, they're like, oh, you must read all the time. You get all these quotes, you get all these things. The truth is, I don't read more than most people. I read consistently, yes, but I don't read more. I probably read 50 pages a week, if I'm honest, 50 to 100 pages a week. There's people that read a book a week. But the difference is between me and most people, I apply more of it. I highlight my books. I take points from it. I say, how am I going to apply this in my life? I go back to it. I read over it. I repeat it. I apply these things because I'm learning from the best people who have ever lived in any given field. If I want to become more confident, I can read a book about it. If I want to learn more about philosophy, guess what? I'm going to read about Marcus Aurelius. I'm going to read about Seneca. I'm going to read about Epictetus and all these Stoics and all these people because I want to learn about it. I'm not just going to rely solely on my own experience because so much effort and time has to be put into that. Why not get the information, apply it first, and then I'll get the experience after that? So again, if you're not reading at the moment, there's so much information out there that if you want it, you could get it. Probably my favourite and most impactful of the lessons I've ever learned is this next one. And it is the idea that Stoicism is centred around the dichotomy of control. Now what that simply is, if you imagine, right, a little circle just here. There's a little circle. And if you're not listening to the podcast, if you're only listening, sorry, just imagine a little small circle and there's a big circle over that, okay? So in that small circle is what you can control, and it's very little. It is your thoughts and how you respond to things, essentially, your actions. Whereas out with the circle is everything else in life, everything that happens. I don't know what so-and-so thinks of you, what so-and-so says, if somebody turns up to something, if they don't, that is the dichotomy of control. Now, as I said, the only thing that we truly control in life, and that's what we have to focus on, is our own actions and how we respond to things. And that can be said by none better than Marcus Aurelius with this quote. He says, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. And you may have heard that before, and the reason is because I mentioned it about 5 minutes ago. It's such a powerful quote. It's such an unbelievable statement that it is the center of everything that I do. I realize that things are out with my control, but I don't let them have power over me. That is what I work on in life. So if something happens to me, I think, well, what can I control here? And then I act. So one thing to think of is, let's say You turn up to go to work, you get the train to work or whatever, and the train doesn't turn up. Okay, it hasn't turned up. You can't control it. You're not going to go and lift it up and bring it back. It's out with your control. What is within your control is how you respond to that. What are you going to do? You're going to go on Facebook and say, oh, shite, ScotRail, the train didn't turn up. What are you going to do? Or are you going to start planning, thinking, right, well, how am I going to get to my destination? What am I going to do? Because I know how I would rather be. I would rather be the action taker who actually solves problems rather than complains about them. That is the dichotomy of control. It's how you respond to things in life that determines the type of person that you are and where you'll end up in life. So always remember that. There's so little we have control over in life, but one thing that will always remain in our control is how we respond to things. Another favourite of mine, last one, is happiness equals reality minus expectations. And I had two very good examples of this, which I'll share with you. Imagine you're walking down the street, just minding your own day, you're having a standard day, it's all right, you're maybe going somewhere, and you come across a £20 note, or somebody gives you a £20 note. You don't expect that. That exceeds your expectation. There you go, free money. Class, brilliant. You're a wee bit happy, a wee bit joyful. I'm getting happy just thinking about it. Okay, but imagine this. You were happy because that exceeded your expectations. But let's say you had an event with a friend planned. You'd planned for weeks to go to this event. You were buzzing for it. You couldn't wait. And then just before the event, they text you, they phoned you and they said, oh, I can't make it. We can't go. And you couldn't go to the event. You expected to go to that event and have a great time, but the reality was below your expectations of it. So that gap between your expectations and reality is where that kind of feeling of unhappiness comes in from. You're a bit upset, you're unhappy, which is fine. It's quite natural. However, what we can take from this lesson is to lower our expectations, particularly of others. Keep them high of yourself because you can control that, but of others, lower your expectations. If you expect everybody to be kind, not to be rude to everybody, for everybody to hold the door open and say please and thank you, you're going to go through life very unhappy because there's a lot of arseholes out there and you should expect that. In fact, one of the most impactful verses of the Meditations, which I can't remember, but essentially what it is Marcus Aurelius says, when you wake up in the morning, remind yourself that there will be arrogant and ungrateful people in this world. If you wake up with that expectation, you can't be let down. You're expecting people to let you down because you know it's out with your control. That takes us back to that dichotomy of control. We have such low expectations of others, so how can you get you down? The only person that gets let down by others is the person that expects too much of them. Now, of course, in times of life, we are going to have higher expectations, but at least now you know when you feel either really happy or really sad, you can think back to that and think, wait, did this exceed my expectations? Did this fall below my expectations? You'll be able to judge it off of that. And that often will show why you're either happy or sad in any given situation from there. Wow, a lot of quotes there. A lot of stuff went over. I did say it was going to be a lot of quotes, and I love a quote. So if you do, that must have been a good episode for you. Now, from this episode, as I said, there's 12 lessons there that have had a huge impact on my life. For you to take action from here, one thing that you could do is pick one lesson. I'm sure you might have picked up quotes or anything like that, which you can note down, which is great. But if you had to pick one lesson that hit you hard, write it down in a notepad, okay? Write it down on a piece of paper and put it next to your bed. Put it next to somewhere you're going to see it. And the only reason I'm doing that, I'm not telling you to take action on it. If you can, great. But just put it next to your bed. Because the sole effort of you reminding yourself of that is going to help you. So let's say you put down happiness equals reality minus expectations. You're going to put it next to your bed, and every night you'll go to bed, every morning you wake up and you'll think, I remember that. So when my expectations exceed my reality and blah, 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 you'll think about that. Because with these podcasts, the beneficial thing and the incredible thing that you're doing is you're genuinely interested in your own self-improvement. You're listening to this. You've listened the whole way through because you want to improve. You want to gain value from something. So what you're doing is you're surrounding yourself with so much positivity, and that's what we'd be doing with this lesson. Even by putting it in your room, we're expanding your environment. You're reminding yourself of these positive lessons, so you're more likely to actually remember them. Because that's how we remember things, by repetition of things. So that's something you can take away from today's episode. Of course, any action you take is incredible. Now, as I said, these 12 lessons were shared for a reason. It was during my 4x4x40 challenge, which is where I ran 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours to raise money for Kick Mental Health. If you enjoyed today's episode or found any of them value and you would like to, for whatever reason, give some value back, I would incredibly appreciate it if you to go into the description below, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're seeing this clip, and click the link to my GoFundMe page, and you can donate to Kick Mental Health. Okay, the link is going to shut very soon. So if you could donate, I would really, really appreciate that, and it will impact a lot of others. But to finish off, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you took some value from it, and I hope you continue in your own pursuit of constant improvement. Thank you for listening.